All right, everyone, welcome to DIGA630. The purpose of our video here is to take you through the syllabus. And so for part of our course, you might have several different videos as part of this week. And this particular video will just go over that of our syllabus. So certainly we can entertain any questions or whatnot as part of that. But this is DIGA630. This is part of the certificate. It's also part of the Master of Science in Data Intelligence Geoanalytics program. And you'll notice, at least for this term, or the current term we're in here, is a virtual and online remote option delivery with blended. So what does that mean? That means we are running the course blended for people that want to come into the classroom, like we have now, a number of folks here. We have some people online as well. And then, of course, the other option is, or real-time remote, we have some folks on. And then the other option is for people who would like to watch the video later on too, which is kind of asynchronous in that manner. So the video helps to support people in all those different areas. But nevertheless, our course term dates run from essentially yesterday through December 19th. And you notice that we'll have our term dates. I like to run our course Tuesday through Tuesday, just because it's mentally easier for us to focus on a Tuesday to a Tuesday, just to know kind of where things are at. So you'll see in our face-to-face virtual or real-time, virtual meetings, we have tonight and then in November and then early December. And so those will be our periods like we're hosting now. So we'll all get a chance to get together. And we might have some virtual help sessions or something like that too, where we can get together remotely or perhaps in person too. But nevertheless, the orchestration of the course will be a little bit, not necessarily complicated, but I appreciate you all writing back, letting me know your wishes if you want to come in person or be at home or watch online, because it kind of impacts how I'm going to prepare for a class or what I need to do to make that experience better for all of you. So we should be just fine though with moving forward. In any event, it's ideal if people do have DIGA605 under your belts or some prior experience somewhere along the line, but not the end of the world if not. So I think I know kind of where everybody's at. Usually office hours are whenever you need help or whatever, just send me an email. That usually works the best, and then we'll set up a time whenever that is, that we can get together. But everybody take a look at the course description, if you will. And I like to think of this course as really one of the foundational, I'll call it analytical building blocks of working with spatial data, primarily generalized data. So what I mean with that is a lot of raster data, working with a lot of predictive, sort of the onsets of predictive modeling, or working with imagery and seeing what we can do with various elements of micro scale kind of machine learning with imagery, pixels and whatnot. And tonight we're going to embark upon that journey slowly and carefully to really step you through really solid fundamentals that are going to give you a good basis in understanding a generalized data environment with rasters, images, things like that. So spatial analysis rather. We'll get a chance to put all this together in a little final project for you later on down the line of your choosing. But I think of this class coming out of 605. I know some of you are all over the place in terms of your classes, but I think of this course as really an opportunity. If you're just coming out of 605, you have the ability to jump in the car and you can rev the gas up and or electric, rev the battery up, depends whatever you're using. But we haven't had a chance to really explore all the functionality to see the performance of that vehicle. And this class, we're going to kind of enhance that and allow you to see what we can do and what we can do differently, and sort of see that puzzle in a new light, how these puzzle pieces start to fit together a little bit more from an analytical perspective. So some of you who came out of a, maybe a DIGA635 were sort of thrown all into that right away. And this is more the building blocks of that to lead us into more of a grounded approach to developing those skills. Learning objectives are provided there at the bottom of page 1. You can take a look at those. So just get a chance to work with basic advanced types of techniques. As I noticed, we have our, as we talked earlier, before the recording, actually, we have our Canvas platform up and running. You can access that at courses.smumn.edu. And then for this course, that would be in your Canvas dashboard, DIGA630. No textbooks for the course, but we'll be giving you a number of different handouts for your experience here as well. And if you have any general tech support related issues, mainly perhaps for online needs, or if you had some type of a software bundle or something, Word or whatever it is, you know, the help desk can also hopefully be of assistance to you. Anyhow, let's take a look at our course outline for our second half of our fall term here this semester. So tonight is our week 1 period. We're meeting again virtually or blended face-to-face here tonight, as you know. And our topics will be for perhaps really the first 2-3 weeks working with spatial analytics and modeling concepts. And so there'll be a lot of workshops, tutorials, work-alongs, things like that. So we'll be doing a lot of hands-on work together here in class. And I should mention as well, mainly this will strike the people dialing in at home. Teaching this on both ends, you know, all remote and in the classroom, there is going to be fatigue, mental fatigue for us all. So folks at home, believe me, I know this more than anybody. So if you're nodding off, you're yawning, trust me, I don't take that as something that I'm doing wrong. I mean, it could be, but I don't take offense to that after all these years. And realistically, there's just a threshold that we drop off on a little bit more at home from what I've been seeing. So if you feel like you're kind of just mentally, you can't keep going anymore, you know, we'll take some breaks and things like that. And if you need to sign off, you can sign off and, you know, keep going in class. But if people in class, if you're cashed out, you can't hang on either. I get that. And I'll keep the recording going, and I can, you know, even after the class, I can go make recordings and make those available for people, depending on where we're at. So that's real. It's a real acknowledgement, you know, just in where we're all at here, trying to build our community together. So I don't take offense to that, please know, but we'll do our best to keep you chugging along here and feeling good. All right, so for the first couple of weeks, as I mentioned, we'll be working through spatial analytics and modeling concepts, and week 3, moving into more of some point pattern analysis, still some of the spatial modeling aspects. Those 2 periods, weeks 2 and 3, and 4 actually will be our online periods. Weeks 4 will be moving into data management. So Eric and a number of people, you mentioned you work a lot with data and whatnot. So this is kind of a continuation of that, building upon some of the projections and things like that, coordinate systems that you maybe worked with in 605. And yeah, I'm kind of a projection geek. I just like working with projections. I like trying to figure them out. Is that weird for anybody? Thanks, Eric.
I'm with the surveying background. I'm with you there.
Right. Yep. So I like trying to solve problems with data. And don't ever tell Miss Poser this. For those of you that have taken a class with Miss Poser already, so some of you have, some of you haven't. She loves databases and things like that, and I appreciate them, but that's not my calling. I'm with Eric and 635 people. We're solving problems and we're looking at data and numbers and crunching them and looking at trends and patterns, and those are my strengths. But that's why there's a lot of good compliments in what people, you know, from their teaching backgrounds bring. So data management, super important. Projections, kind of our control of that is a good one, but building upon that, we'll be taking a look at some real life application scenarios for that and how we can deal with that. So I think of week 4 is sort of a little bit of a transitionary period, because then we're going to jump back into weeks 5 and 6, working more with imagery and LiDAR and remote sensing applications. And you will see in here that we'll have a number of guest speakers, and I've started to do this in a few of these periods. One, well, it's for a few different reasons. For anyone who has been in this industry for an extended period of time, if anyone ever says that they have known or do know everything about the industry, do not believe them. It is not possible. So, and I am no different in that manner. I'm a facilitator who knows a lot about, or a little bit about a lot of different things, some things a little bit more. But so to that end, for instance, in week 5 rather, I'll be bringing in a few guest speakers in a live setting, which will be more of a sort of a podcast, video cast format where we'll be doing some interactive things together, which all of you will be a part of, to either bring in your own examples or whatnot, work through some tutorials together. So it'll be, those have been really an enjoyable periods when we've been able to do that. So week 5, we'll have a guest visitor if available for that, dealing with some imagery, classifications, a little bit on machine learning. And then week 6, moving into, well, really some more on that. We'll get into LiDAR and whatnot, change detection. Again, so weeks kind of 5 and 6 really go together. They're kind of a little merger of everything. Week 7 will be moving. That'll be actually a period. We'll be right back here, in class. And as I back up here, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, week 5, we're face to face. So like we are tonight. Week 7, we'll be back face to face. And I'm thinking we'll also have another guest visitor in for that. One person who he is a graduate, also an instructor for quite a few years, had to step away for a brief period of time here, but we may see him back. But I'm thinking or hoping he'll be able to come back and do a workshop with Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, and give us some other enhancements based on just our ArcGIS Pro or desktop, whatever in that, but we'll see how it goes. And then week 8 will be another opportunity to engage in, it may be the least interesting technically wise from a standpoint of content, but the legal aspects of our industry in data, in technology. And so where relevant, I may try to bring in another one of our adjuncts, who she is an attorney who practices in this type of an area. So it's kind of fun to have these little vlog or vcast podcast type things available for you to enjoy, too. And so we'll see where that goes. That's a little bit on the content. Did anyone have any questions at this point? So a lot of spatial modeling, a lot of imagery, a lot of background info on some machine learning, remote sensing, more advanced cartographic design principles, and the legal aspects of our arena. The legal part was a nice conclusion because there's not usually a whole lot of work to do. It's more kind of listening at that stage. Okay. Let's take a look at the remainder of the course outline. Each week we'll have something, that we'll be working on. Some are little applications, some are tutorials. And I think of a lot of what we do is really scalable. So that means some of you are coming in with more experience. Some of you are coming in maybe with not as much. And so I try to provide as much as we can a scalable opportunity, meaning you can enhance it beyond the normal assignments to your desire, or if you're just trying to get going, meet some of the bare minimums, and that's okay too. So each week you can kind of read through there and see what we're doing week to week. But all will follow a learning activity, if you will, for each one of those periods that we mentioned. So this is more practical oriented, what we're doing. So there's not a lot of sitting there reading the book and trying to understand a chapter. It's more learn by doing. And so that's helpful, I think, for people. We have a couple of quizzes in there too, just on our online weeks. So those will come off of our weekly content. Again, you can take the quizzes a couple of times for those. And then there'll be one final exam at the end. And that'll be perhaps somewhat of a practical. I'll give you data for some questions. If I give you, let's say, 5 problems, you could pick 3 of them to solve or something. It'll all be easy. This will be a piece of cake for you. We'll be templating it all through that. So don't worry, not too bad. You can use your notes on those, no problem. So when we say exam, I say that as more of a learning affirmation, because that's what it is. It's to kind of be like, wow, I do know this. That's pretty cool. Like I didn't know it before and now I do. And then there'll be a final project, and you can certainly work with someone on this if you so do choose. But otherwise, if you feel like you're more comfortable working solo, fly solo on that to your liking. But again, it's some type of here's a little problem with some data sets, and here's something I'm thinking that I could maybe solve. And throughout the course, I'll throw little reminders out there for you to say like, oh, this could be a cool final project, and just building on some data, looking at it, exploring it. I also emailed everyone I guess a shared link to a DIGA630 Google Drive, and maybe I can pull that up. So that'll look like this. This is a shared drive, and for the most part, all the content is already in these weeks, but again, I may have to jockey them depending upon what happened from our conversion from our prior LMS over into Canvas here. So, but for instance, week 1, that's all loaded up and ready for you to take a look at. And the same thing will be in Canvas. Canvas is obviously, it's just more set up in a organized fashion, but nevertheless, the shared Google Drive is also here. In order to access your shared Google Drive, you'll have to go through that email that I sent you. Then you'll be able to access that DIGA630 folder. Okay. So I do encourage you to collaborate in here, and to do that, some people use just Google Meet. That's part of your school's G Suite or your Google Suite. You can use Google Meet to set up, or use Google Docs, create things, work together on those. I understand it does take a little more time, but it can be valuable when you have different projects that you're working on, and get some other insight from people on that. Anyway, the points are provided here. I tend to be more of a person who is interested in the learning rather than grades. I understand grades can be the motivator, but is it really an indicator or an accurate assessment of learning? I don't know. It's like standardized tests. Some people are really good test takers, but in a different setting, they don't know how to do anything. So it all depends, I guess. So points are one way of assessing, but it's not the only way. So please keep that in mind. If you turn in an assignment or something and it doesn't work out, no problem. I'll give it back to you, redo it. Take those opportunities for learning. I think of school as a safety net to fail in a creative fashion. As a safety net we fall into, we're not going to get penalized for failing. I'd rather us try and learn, and maybe we quote fail on paper, but we're not failing, we're actually learning in that process. But when we penalize, that immediately stifles creativity, and it stifles the desire to try something. So my philosophy in that is to remove those barriers. So again, I'm not as worried about points as much as I'm learning. So if something happens, redo it, no problem. Grading skills provided. Lastly, if anyone might need to seek access services for any type of equal education program or documented disabilities, anything like that, I recommend contacting Access Services at the email provided right there. You can also contact me. I'll probably try to direct you to those folks though. And ultimately that's designed to help put a plan together to best help you learn and achieve in all aspects. So please let me know if I can help you with that. And otherwise, the academic policies, writing center, library services are all provided out there. Do encourage people to use those as often as they can for different insights and perspectives. Are there any questions that anyone might have on the syllabus? Okay, anybody at home? Okay, let's see, I think okay then. I think we're all fine. What I'll do then is stop our video here. We'll take a brief break and then come back for round 2.